History is not a neutral record. It is a story, edited, polished, and rearranged by those who had the power to decide what should be remembered and what should quietly disappear. We grow up with a simple picture of slavery. In most school books, it is something that happened far away, on plantations, across the ocean, under a burning sun. It is presented as someone else's crime, someone else's shame, safely contained in another continent. But that is not the full story, because behind Europe's romantic images, its cathedrals and canals, its castles and cobblestone streets, there is a chapter of history that almost no one talks about. A chapter filled with ships that arrived before dawn, villages that vanished in a single night, and human beings traded like cargo in markets that stood in plain sight. For centuries, Europe ran its own network of slave raids and slave markets. This was not a rumor, not a conspiracy theory. It was a system, documented, organized, profitable, and later, conveniently forgotten. Imagine a small coastal village in Ireland or Iceland. It is late at night. The sea is calm. The only sound is the wind. By morning, the houses are still there, but the people are gone. Ships had slipped into the bay under cover of darkness. Armed men rushed ashore, broke down doors, tied hands, silenced screams. By the time the sun rose, entire families were already far out at sea, heading toward markets where nobody knew their names and nobody cared. Now picture the glittering halls of Venice, Marseille, or other Mediterranean ports. We see them today as tourist postcards, beautiful bridges, narrow alleys, golden light on the water. But in the shadows of those same harbours, auctions were held. Men, women and children were lined up, examined like animals, priced and sold. Slavic people from the east, Nordic and British Islanders from the north, Caucasian captives taken from mountain villages. They were bought by merchants, nobles, even by those who claimed to be civilized and enlightened. Kings and local rulers collected taxes on these sales. Merchants built empires on the profit, and many in the church chose not to look too closely, as long as the money kept flowing and the prayers kept coming. This was not a small, accidental side note in history. It was an industry. It shaped trade routes, it built fortunes, it changed demographics. And yet, if you open most school history books today, you will find almost nothing about it. Why? Because as Europe began to shape its modern identity, as it wrapped itself in words like progress, civilization, and enlightenment, this part of the story did not fit the image. How do you celebrate the greatness of a city while admitting that, for centuries, that city sold human beings on its docks? How do you portray a nation as a symbol of freedom and philosophy, while its own archives describe ships carrying kidnapped villagers to foreign markets? It was easier to let this chapter fade. Documents were buried in archives no one visits. Some records were lost. Monuments changed meaning, and the story shrank until it became almost invisible. But the past has a way of leaving fingerprints. You can still find letters from priests and travelers, writing in shock about entire communities that disappeared overnight. You can still read the complaints of coastal towns asking for protection from raiders. You can still find contracts, receipts, and tax records quietly confirming that human beings were once counted as merchandise. Sometimes, the truth is not missing. It is simply ignored. This is not just a story about slavery. It is a story about erasure, about how whole pieces of reality can be edited out of our shared memory because they are uncomfortable inconvenient or dangerous to the image we want to project. When we only learn one version of history, we start to believe that suffering has a specific colour, that victims always look the same, and that guilt belongs only to others, never to us. But the reality is much more complicated. For centuries, people of many backgrounds, Slavic, Nordic, Celtic, Caucasian and more, were captured, chained and sold in markets across Europe. Their lives, their families, their stories became part of an economic machine that pretended they never existed. And so we arrive in the present, walking through European cities as if they are museums of pure culture and progress, never realizing that some of the stones beneath our feet were once stained with something else. Tonight, we are not just looking at a hidden trade. We are confronting the way history itself is constructed. Who gets to decide which stories are told and which are buried? Which victims are remembered with statues and school lessons, and which are allowed to disappear into silence? In this video, we will open the doors of Europe's forgotten slave markets. We will trace the routes of the ships, step into the ports where human lives were petty,